I was so hyped for this movie because I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. The original film is the first movie I ever saw at the cinema. I've seen every installment at the cinema since. I had all the toys, the comics, and it kind of ended when The Lost World came out because I was a bit disappointed in that movie. And then when the third film came out, the toys and merchandise was a bit crap. And I was about 18 at that point, so I was more concerned with spending my money on getting drunk and getting laid than Jurassic Park toys. Then Jurassic World came out, and I was hyped for that movie, but there was no merchandise I particularly wanted. The toys were absolute crap that Hasbro churned out for that. But with Fallen Kingdom, Mattel have been releasing some awesome toys, so I've been getting really into it, buying all these toys, getting hyped up for the film. And to start off with, it was fantastic. The opening scenes are amazing. I absolutely love the atmosphere. There's a real creepy vibe to it, which I wish they'd kept throughout the movie, and they kind of try to. But I would love to see a movie which is like the beginning of Fallen Kingdom throughout for 2 hours and with more dinosaurs involved. One of the things that's good about the opening scenes, but also kind of sad, is that it's really the only action the Mosasaurus and the T-Rex get. I mean, the T-Rex appears a couple more times, but these are the main scenes with those two dinosaurs, which is kind of disappointing. And I don't want the whole movie to just be the T-Rex all the time, otherwise it would get boring. But I wish it had played a slightly bigger part than it did. Claire and Owen have been brought back, and they're both likeable enough characters. I don't have a problem with them. I'm glad that the romance between them was kind of downplayed because I'm not really interested in seeing that. It's not why I come to watch a Jurassic Park film. I don't care about the two of them finding love together or not. I quite liked it that they were just kind of friends and companions, really, who made a good team. We're also introduced to two more characters who are kind of the sidekicks, a guy and a girl. The guy is really irritating. He's too much of a comedy sidekick with his screaming and just acting wimpy and irritating all the time. And the girl does nothing but moan and groan. So they're both really unlikable characters. And I was kind of hoping that one or both of them would end up getting killed, that the movie would have the balls to do that. But it didn't, and they survived. But hopefully we won't see them in the sequel because you don't really need to bring them back. I could have done without them. But the film is very much a kind of spiritual update of The Lost World. Much like Jurassic World felt like an update of Jurassic Park, Fallen Kingdom feels like an update of The Lost World. You've got the old man who was involved in the creation of Jurassic Park, who's dying. You've got his young protege who wants to kind of pillage the park and use it for nefarious purposes. You've got two groups of people sent to the island, one to kind of preserve the dinosaurs and one to hunt them down and capture them. You've got the dinosaurs getting off the island. So there are a lot of parallels to The Lost World, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I actually quite enjoy The Lost World now, even though when it came out I was a bit disappointed with it. Also got the return of Ian Malcolm as well, who was the main character of The Lost World. Speaking of The Lost World, I was kind of disappointed that there was no real mention of Isla Sorna, because you've got two islands full of dinosaurs. Why are you wasting one of them? Isla Sorna seems to be kind of dismissed now, and I don't feel like they're ever going to revisit it. Maybe in the third Jurassic World movie they will, and I hope they do, because at the end of this film they imply that the scientists are going to try and clone more dinosaurs. Well, why bother with that when you've got a whole other island full of dinosaurs? Why ignore the existence of Isla Sorna, or just write it out in, because on some of these websites that are promoting the new movie, I think there is some information given saying, oh, all the dinosaurs in Isla Sorna died out. Well, why do that? If you're then going to have scientists try and clone more dinosaurs anyway, just have it that, oh, there's another island full of dinosaurs, let's go and get them as well. It's such a waste. Why waste having another island full of dinosaurs? And this also potentially means we're not going to see the Spinosaurus again, which I think is really disappointing, because that's a really cool dinosaur. I know a lot of people don't like it because it killed the T-Rex, but who cares? It didn't kill the T-Rex. It didn't kill Rexy from the first movie. And I don't have a problem with the T-Rex being killed. It would be boring if it's just the T-Rex is the main dinosaur in each movie. I was perfectly fine with the Spinosaurus. And heck, I'd be fine with the Spinosaurus coming in part 3, and Rexy could kill it, have a cool battle between the two and Rexy kills it. I think that would please people who want to see the Spinosaurus again, and please people who didn't like that the Spinosaurus killed a T-Rex in the 3rd Jurassic Park movie. But speaking of no Spinosaurus, there's also no Dilophosaurus, which really surprised me because they've released toys of the Dilophosaurus, Pez dispensers. I mean, the Dilophosaurus has been reasonably prominent in some of the marketing and merchandise for Fallen Kingdom, but it doesn't appear in the film whatsoever. So I assume it wasn't taken off the island, which is really disappointing because I, along with many people, we want to see the Dilophosaurus again. Why is the Dilophosaurus always screwed over? What have the studio got against the Dilophosaurus? It appears as a statue in a museum in Lockwood Manor, much like it appeared as a hologram in the first Jurassic World movie. But other than that, we hear it slightly in the background at the beginning of the movie. You hear the distinctive Dilophosaurus sound, but you don't see it, and it plays no part in the movie. So I was really disappointed by that. Why won't they bring it back? They bring the damn compies back from the Lost World. The compies have been in nearly every movie since the Lost World. So if they can be brought back, even though they don't really do anything, they're just kind of there in the background, you can bring the Dilophosaurus back, surely to goodness. Now, I've been wanting them to get off the island for a long time now. I think part 3 really should have taken them off the island. There's only so many times you can have a group of people trapped on an island being chased by dinosaurs. You can't keep repeating that all the time. So it's about time we got off the island. And I was looking forward to seeing that in this movie. However, the film kind of falls apart for me when they do get off the island. All the scenes on Isla Nublar are really interesting, really good. They're quite touching moments as well, like the scene with the Brachiosaurus on the end of the pier looking like a lost puppy dog, like, why don't you take me with you, as the boat's going away and the volcano's going off and it envelops the Brachiosaur. And I don't think they got any Brachiosaurs off the island, so that's pretty much the end of them. They're dead. And the Brachiosaurus was the first dinosaur we saw properly in that original movie, so it does kind of hit you to see that first dinosaur we ever saw killed like that and wiped out. It's probably the saddest moment in the film. But once we get to Lockwood Manor, they try and make it a kind of scary, claustrophobic movie. And I love horror movies, and claustrophobia in horror movies does work really well. And I want the Jurassic Park movies to be scary, but claustrophobia doesn't work with dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are huge. They're big. They need to be in big open spaces. Having dinosaurs confined to a little manor just doesn't work for me. That's not satisfying at all to see, because it basically limits what dinosaurs you can use. You can only use the dinosaurs that are small enough to move around a human-sized manor house. I'd want to see the dinosaurs stomping around a city or a town, getting loose. That's what I've been wanting to see since the end of the Lost World, really, and where I think that the franchise needs to go. I want them to go balls to the wall with it. I know it doesn't make all that much sense for dinosaurs to get off the island, because the military could easily hunt down, even if there's 20, 30, 50 dinosaurs let loose in America, the military could pretty easily hunt them down, I think, and kill them all. But screw it. I want dinosaurs to spread and to see what the world looks like if we have to coexist with dinosaurs again. I think that would be really interesting, rather than just dinosaurs chasing people around on an island again. And they're hinting that that's where the next movie's going to go, which is kind of frustrating that we've got to wait another 3 years to get to that. But as a stepping stone, we waste the second half of this movie wandering around a manor house. And part of my dislike of this is that the main focus here is the Indoraptor, and I don't like the made-up hybrid monsters in these Jurassic World movies. It just doesn't appeal to me. As a one-off gimmick in Jurassic World, fair enough, but I didn't need it repeated, and I really tuned out once the Indoraptor scenes kicked in. Because I kind of needed the toilet, and actually got up and went during the Indoraptor scenes after it had escaped because I was just that uninterested in it. And I know that's my own personal taste. A lot of people love the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor, but the charm for me of the Jurassic Park movies is that we're seeing creatures that actually existed. And I know they're not all accurate. I know they took some liberties with the Dilophosaurus, and we now know that T-Rex had feathers and the Velociraptor was smaller. But in general, these creatures kind of existed. They're at least based on reality, and that's amazing. That's mind-blowing to me that these things used to walk the earth. It's almost unbelievable. It's fantastical. So to just introduce made-up monsters, basically, to me it's lowering the franchise. It cheapens it to the level of one of those awful sci-fi movies where it's, mega crocodile versus Sharknado or whatever the hell those films are. So I just wasn't interested in seeing that, and unfortunately that is the focus. And I don't see why it needs to be, because there are thousands of species of dinosaurs. There are so many cool dinosaurs. We see quite a few of them in this film. The Allosaurus and the Baryonyx and that, but they all get underused, and yet it then focuses on a made-up monster. Well, you use the real ones. Use the real dinosaurs. It doesn't have to just be T-Rex and raptors all the time. I don't understand why so many people were against the Spinosaurus in Part 3, and yet they love the made-up Indoraptor and Indominus Rex. Why is it okay to use these silly made-up monsters, but not the real dinosaurs like the Spinosaurus? And like I say, get the Baryonyx and the Allosaurus and the Carnotaurus to play a bigger part. And also, once we get to Lockwood Manor, we see that another one of the plots here is that the company want to sell the dinosaurs to foreign military groups and terrorist groups and all this to use in combat. And there are people there bidding millions and millions for an Allosaurus or a Baryonyx. And I don't get it. If they were just collectors who were, billionaires and they thought it'd be cool to own a dinosaur, that would make more sense to me. But that these people are marketing this as some kind of military application. Well, how the hell is an Allosaurus going to be particularly useful to you in a war? You're not going to buy a lion and send it off across no man's land. It would just get blown away. And the same with an Allosaurus. You send an Allosaurus up against some F-22s, it's not going to last very long. I just don't see how dinosaurs are going to be particularly useful in combat. The Indoraptor, yes, because they've sort of modified it so that you can target people and it will attack them and it's relatively bulletproof and that. But the regular dinosaurs, they're going to be useless, okay? It doesn't matter how well you manage to train them. They will be useless up against a tank, okay? So this whole idea of trying to sell the dinosaurs as weapons is kind of silly. And I know you could argue that, well, it's all silly because, dinosaurs being brought back to life and stuff. But I don't know. At least try and come up with something that makes a bit more sense than that. I found Lockwood, I get the feeling that really they wanted Richard Attenborough back, but they couldn't, obviously, because the actor's dead. I feel like it really should have been John Hammond in this role. So instead we get kind of a pointless knockoff. And he's barely in the movie, really. And then he gets killed. And he just seemed a kind of insignificant character who was thrown in there just because they needed a John Hammond character. And it was kind of unoriginal. I was hoping he would turn out to be a bad guy, because at least he wouldn't seem quite so much of a rip-off of John Hammond. But no, he is just a rip-off of John Hammond. And he leads on to this completely and utterly pointless subplot with his granddaughter, who they build up the mystery of, who is her mother? Because he has a photo of her, but he hides it before the little girl and before the audience can see it. And the little girl asks him, did Mummy ever go to Jurassic Park? And he says, yes, a long time ago. So I thought that was implying that she was going to be a character that we'd seen in one of the previous movies. So I thought, who the hell can that be? And I actually thought maybe it was Lex. I thought maybe Lockwood married Lex's mother, John Hammond's daughter, because we hear that they're going through a divorce in that first Jurassic Park movie. So I thought maybe John Hammond fell out with Lockwood because of the divorce with his daughter, and it would turn out that Lex was actually Lockwood's daughter and this little girl's mother. And I even thought that maybe the bad guy in this movie was an adult Tim and he'd sort of changed his name or something, which probably sounds silly now, but he looked, the actor, it's not the same actor who played Tim, but he looks like he could play an adult version of Timmy. So I thought maybe that's all going to come out, maybe that's what this mystery is that they're building up to. But no, it turns out the little girl is a clone of Lockwood's daughter. Why? Why did that need to be in the film? What relevance is that to anything? Who cares? I'm here to see dinosaurs. You don't need to... they've thrown in these made-up monsters and now they're throwing in cloned little girls? What? This is going off the rails. Why do we need cloned little girls thrown in a Jurassic Park movie? Who cares? I don't see the need for it. I don't see the relevance of it. It plays no part of the plot. It's not like part of this little girl's DNA was used to make the Indoraptor, or that she's got dinosaur DNA in her or something. I mean, it's just, not that I would want that, but at least it would give it some kind of point, but there's no reason for it. It was just a completely pointless mystery that's thrown in there that I can't imagine anyone's going to give a shit about. No one cares about this little girl we've never seen before, who's got no relation to anything, whose grandfather is another character that we've never seen before, and who's hardly in the film anyway. And then, oh, she's a clone. Pointless. In the marketing, they make a big deal of the use of practicals in this movie. We're using so many practicals, but watching the film, you can't really tell. It all looks CGI. I think they've probably done the same thing they did with the Thing pre-make, where they used a load of practicals to appease the fans, but then they just CGI over it before the movie gets released. So, the practicals are nigh on pointless. I think the main use of practicals was in the end, kind of third of the film with the Indoraptor, but the rest of it is all CGI heavy, and the CGI is fine, but it's still, to me, it just always has a slight weightlessness and hollowness to it. It's not the same visceral experience as watching an actual physical thing. Having an animatronic dinosaur works better because you've got something that's actually there. There's actually a big dinosaur there. Even if it's an animatronic one, it's still a real physical creature that's there. And the practicals, they all have CGI eyes as well, and I don't know why. The eyes on the original animatronic dinosaurs in the first 3 movies all look real. I never looked at their eyes and thought, oh, those eyes aren't real, they need to be CGI. But they CGI over them, and it actually makes them look more fake. Seeing these overly glossy CGI eyes. So, if you're that excited about the practicals, it's barely noticeable. And like I said, it's not like the CGI was bad or anything, but I would like to see a bit of a return to the look of the first 3 movies that just looked more real to me. I feel like they cut back on the violence in this film as well. There is quite a bit of violence, of dinosaur attacks, but for the most part, they always cut away. Like, you'll see the dinosaur get close to someone, and then you'll see a shot from an angle behind the dinosaur where you just see the dinosaur's tail or something wiggling around, and you hear someone screaming. And it's not like I want to see blood and guts spurting all over the screen. I want these movies to still be, relatively family friendly, but in the first movie, we see the lawyer getting eaten. In the second movie, we see Eddie Carr getting ripped in half by 2 T-Rexes. So you can show some violence without there being blood and guts flying everywhere. But this movie just nearly always felt like it was cutting away from that. And it's harder to get scared if I can't really see what's happening. I know that the implication is, yeah, the dinosaur's eating someone or it's ripping someone apart, but if I can't actually see it, it's not going to have as visceral effect on me. I'm not going to feel as scared because I need to see the consequences of these dinosaur attacks. I need to see how vicious it can be to a degree. So even though I'm not a gorehound or anything, I think violence is still a necessity to see a bit of it if you're trying to make a movie remotely scary. I found that a lot of the characters in this film just didn't come off very realistic. They all seemed like caricatures almost. Toby Jones's character, and he's an actor that I normally like, but with the ridiculous wig and false teeth, he just seemed a bit too over the top. He didn't seem like a real person. Same with the hunter guy, I can't remember his name, the one that was killed by the Indoraptor. Even the guy at the beginning who was chased by the T-Rex in that really cool scene, who then got eaten by the Mosasaurus, he just had a sort of a goofiness to him that almost undermined the scene for me. And then, of course, you've got the two sidekick characters, Franklin and that girl with the glasses. All she does is fucking moan. All he does is screech his way through the film, just grates on you. There's just very few characters in this that feel like real human beings. It's like the writers didn't know how to write charisma into these characters or give them any kind of depth. The same with the main villain guy who kills the old geezer. He starts off all right and then gradually becomes more and more like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. I just find the characters aren't particularly well written at all in this. I felt all the bad guys in this were pretty two-dimensional, and arguably the bad guys have never been all that strong in these movies. In the first movie, a lot of people don't really like Dennis Nedry because he was slightly goofy. He worked well enough for me because it's not like he was the brains behind the operation. He was just kind of a stoolie that they were getting to do the jobs for him. But in the second movie, Roland Tembo was a great villain who wasn't just an outright comic book bad guy. He actually had kind of different sides to him. He was a decent enough guy. He was just doing his job, which happened to be kind of for the wrong side. And there's a character in this new movie that seems like he's loosely based on Roland, but he's, as I say, very two-dimensional and forgettable. And I'd say all the new characters are, really. There are no new characters whatsoever in this that are going to stay with you. They're all either two-dimensional and forgettable or really irritating, like those two assistants of Claire's that I mentioned. Now, before this movie came out, a lot of people complained about how the marketing was giving away too much of the movie, and I didn't really have an opinion on this because, well, I hadn't seen the movie. So how do I know if the marketing is giving away too much of the plot before I've actually seen the plot in full? However, now I've watched the movie, yes, the marketing pretty much gives away the whole film. You could take the clips from all of the trailers and behind the scenes sort of making of promotional material, and you can pretty much put the movie together and you know what's going to happen at each point. I think we also see pretty much every scene of the T-Rex and the Mosasaurus in the marketing as well. There's one scene of the T-Rex that isn't in the trailers, but every other scene with the T-Rex and Mosasaurus in are in those trailers, which is really disappointing because we've seen it all now. And some people might argue that, well, if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, don't watch the trailers. But how do I judge if I want to see a movie without watching the trailers? The trailers should be there to whet my appetite and so that I can judge if I want to see the film or not. So there's no good saying, oh, well, you can't watch the trailers if you don't want it to be given away. The trailers shouldn't give away the film. That's not what they're there for. They're there to give you a little taster of it and to tease you and to get you enthusiastic to watch the film. If I can't ever watch a trailer because it's just going to give away the whole film, I'm not going to be able to judge if I even want to see the film in the first place. So this is really a problem that Hollywood needs to address. And I don't know if it's the movie studios or the trailer editing companies who are doing this, but this has happened quite a lot over the last few years where trailers are just giving away the whole movie. That first movie was just so magical, and there's no way you can reproduce that now because at the time we had never seen effects like that before. When the characters in the film were seeing dinosaurs for the first time, it felt like we were seeing dinosaurs for the first time because these things looked more real than anything we had seen on screen before. And you can't reproduce that now because it's 25 years on. We've seen monsters, robots, aliens, superheroes. Everything has been done. Everything's been dialed up to 11 with CGI. So they're never going to reproduce the magic of that first movie. But it's still a fascinating world that I want to see evolve and change. And we're 5 movies in now, and I don't feel like it really has all that much, especially because you had one movie, i.e. Part 3, that didn't really do anything much. Even though I enjoy Part 3 well enough, it's kind of a fun B movie. It doesn't evolve the franchise in the way that the second movie does, and that the fourth movie to an extent does, and that this movie does. I'd heard that there was an after credits scene at the end of this movie, so I sat through those long ass credits only for like a 5-second scene of a couple of pterosaurs flying over Paris or Actually, I mean, I initially thought it was Las Vegas, but I think someone online said it was Paris. So it might have been Paris. I don't know. And that was it. It was literally like a few seconds long, and it felt a bit pointless. I mean, I guess it's to show that some of the dinosaurs, if it was Paris and not Las Vegas as I initially thought it was, I guess it's to show that some of the dinosaurs have spread beyond America. But you can kind of guess that anyway, because they can fly. Of course, the pterosaurs are going to just fly all over the place. I assume they already would have. Why haven't they already emigrated off of Isla Sorna and Isla Nublar? And then we see the Mosasaurus has already swum away as well. And I mean, that was an awesome scene in the trailer of the Mosasaurus at the beach with those surfers, and it's about to eat one. And I thought we were going to see a bit more of the Mosasaurus just causing havoc on the mainland, or near the mainland in the oceans. But no, that is the scene. That scene of the Mosasaurus in the trailer going to get that guy, that surfer guy. That is it. There is no more to that scene, which was really disappointing to me. As I said earlier, because I love the Mosasaurus. It's so cool. I recently got the toy of it, which is just fantastic. But it's barely used in the film, which was a real shame. So I came away pretty disappointed in the movie. Like I say, I enjoyed the first half well enough, and once they got off the island, if it hadn't been confined to Lockwood Manor and wasted so much time on the pointless grandfather-granddaughter subplot, I think I would have enjoyed it more. And if it hadn't focused on a new made-up monster as well. But yeah, once they got off the island, which is ironic really, because I've been desperate for them to get off the island, and then as soon as they do, that's where it all falls apart for me, and I didn't enjoy it. So maybe I just came into this film wanting something different than what they were offering, rather than just accepting the movie for what it is. But yeah, my disappointment overcame me, and it's just such a shame because I was so hyped for this movie. Hopefully the next one will give me what I want in seeing dinosaurs off the island, and how that affects the world, because assuming it's going to be another 3 years until the next one, it will be interesting to see how the world has changed in 3 years of having to coexist with dinosaurs. So there are just some of my thoughts on the movie. It's not an in-depth review. I just wanted to put out the things that kind of stuck with me while watching the film. I've seen a lot of videos that have a negative opinion of this movie, and the Jurassic Park fans tear the reviewers apart. So I don't know what kind of reaction this will get, but sorry, I just didn't enjoy it. I just got really bored in that last third of the movie. They just spent too much time in that damn manor, and I just got so bored with it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.